Party's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome to... I was going to say another week, but I realized this is a Wednesday episode. Oh, my God.
Get it right.
Oh, God damn it. Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever. This is the podcast where we have a little smackaroo with every minute of Joel Schumacher's 1995 Batman sequel, Batman Forever, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am your other host, kissing the girls 3 days a week, John Parker.
And made them cry. That was, I believe, the old rhyme goes. But today we're joined by a newcomer to the show, but not a newcomer to the world of movies by minutes. We have all the way from Toy Story Minutes, Robin Garcia.
The continent of Toy Story Minute. Yay! Sha-la-la-la-la-la, my oh my, look like the boy's too shy, ain't gonna kiss the girl. That's this minute. It's Little Mermaid. Hi.
Hey. That's the best way to start this episode. Come on, how do we go from there? It's all downhill.
But you're the second Robin we've ever had on the show, Robin. I think now we've had to up the numbers because of
does that include Robin, the character in this movie who's not named Robin yet?
He's not named Robin yet, so technically he'll be the third whenever he gets going on it. But
well, I mean, it secures your appearance next season if you want to come back, because we need more Robins on the show for Batman and Robin.
Okay, I think I've talked to Niall about this because I haven't actually recorded with you before, John, but I've recorded with Niall. I have in my possession a spec script that I have outlined for a musical version of the Joel Schumacher 1997 critical flop Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell.
Oh, yes.
I've at least written the first song, and I decided to do what everything with Poison Ivy should do and make her the hero and have Harley Quinn in it, because of course. So it's fun. And
I mean, the more Ivy, the better.
Yeah. Well, this movie kind of has Harley Quinn already. I consider Chase Meridian to be the Burton versus Harley Quinn, really.
I mean, we've actually been saying that the whole show. It's like, would it not be better if she were a Harley Quinn for Batman? Like, she became a villain by the end of it. And it's proven to be an endless fountain of, like, yeah, that would have been way better, because the amount of ideas you can throw in on top of that concept... It just
we already have
this...
a Joker for Robin in Two-Face, so...
Yeah.
Well, plus it would give her character something to do other than just trying to get in Batman's... I was going to say pants. I don't know what you want to call those.
I would say cowl, but that implies a different act of... Anyway, yes.
Oh, I'm sure she wants to do that too, to be fair, but she's up for everything.
Yeah, we're not shaming anyone.
Yeah, doesn't Batman get to ever kiss the girl?
Hey. But speaking of that, this is minute 68 of Batman Forever. And minute 68 begins with Robin. Well, actually, it's not Robin yet. Dick Grayson getting into some fisticuffs.
Good old swinging Dick.
Yeah. And ends a minute later with a bat waiting in the wings. And a nice little... Oh, we'll get to it when we get to it. But
we do get to experience a Dick becoming a Robin here. I think this is where he transforms.
Yeah, Dick stiffens up and gets ready to prove his manhood.
He's a big, strong Dick now. He's grown large and strong, and is able to take on 3 guys at once.
I love the way we started this show PG, and throughout this season, it's just got worse and worse.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just talking about the character. If you could respect this children's... I'm just messing around. Sorry.
I think our PG rating went out as soon as Catwoman was introduced.
Yeah, that was difficult to maintain.
And that was when we were getting in, like, Brittany Simon in to talk about fetishism. And it's just like, there's no way you can edit around this anymore. Like, this is filth.
It is
ridiculously
PG-13. You know what's weird? It's very hard to keep something G-rated, which I think we've kept Toy Story Minute TVY7. despite all, which I don't think that's a British thing, but whatever. Despite the fact that it is a really horny set of movies.
Oh my god, yes. And no, we don't have those ratings here, but you know, our exposure to American things means we understand all these weird differences, these odd ratings you have. You have PG-13? What's our equivalent? We have 12A now. Is that still a thing? I haven't seen that in a while.
What does the A stand for?
Well, basically, there's a 12.
Yes, I get that
which makes sense. And then 12A. How does that work now? Is it you need to be with an adult?
I think it's implying that it's a little more adult based. So it's sort of like, yeah, it's a 12, but like it's for with warnings, you know, like, well, this is. I think Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was the first 12A.
It was
actually.
Yeah.
So I believe Tim Burton's Batman was like the first PG over here or something as well. It had like I think that might have been the first 12 back when it was first released. So like there you go, there's a nice little bit of continuity right there.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, most movies were PG. Well, they were PG or just all the way to 18. There was very little gap.
It's all changed now. It's like back in the day, like Terminator used to be like, oh, it's an 18 certificate movie.
Yeah.
And now that's probably like a PG or something. Because it's like, Terminator's harmless. There's nothing in there.
It did me no harm. Look at me. I'm perfectly normal.
Over here across the pond, as they say, we had only PG up to R for a long time. And so there's a lot of older movies that, like, they'll have a woman in a not very revealing, like, bikini that doesn't show her belly button. And that makes it R.
Because there's nothing else to give it.
And then I think it was Indiana Jones that introduced the PG-13 rating. Because they were like, we want kids to be able to buy toys of this, much like the Batman series that we're discussing now. Mm-hmm. But also, we want a guy to eat a heart. That'd just be real nice.
That's what every Indiana Jones film needs, is one scene which is completely inappropriate for the demographic it's supposed to be aiming for.
I think that's the problem with the Crystal Skull. The death of the villain at the end not only isn't earned, but it's not horrific enough. I
feel the same way about this movie, honestly.
Yeah, well, yeah, it needs to be darker, this movie. And I'm not one who wants.
Is terrible in this movie, and I'm almost glad that I don't have a minute with him, even though I kind of want. I want to talk about. I don't know if you guys have had it brought up that Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones should have switched roles for this movie. It would have been much better that way.
Well, they're kind of just doing the same thing, pretty much.
Yeah, they're both just jokering, and Jim Carrey so well plays that whole, like, calm and then yelling. That's like his whole shtick. He does that in this movie. In this movie, he's almost a better Two-Face than Two-Face is. And Tommy Lee Jones could be that, you know, manipulative master of wordcraft and all that. Much better.
That would actually make a lot more sense.
I could not picture Tommy Lee Jones trying to suck up to Val Kilmer, though, and someone as rich and powerful as you wouldn't need that, sir. Like, Tommy Lee Jones is the kind of guy, like, he ain't pitching the box to anybody. He's just making it happen. Like, it doesn't have to go and ask anybody.
This movie is so much more gay than I remember. Holy.
Oh, it's very...
Rusted metal.
Joel Schumacher denies it. He says, it's because you know I'm a gay man that you're looking at it through that lens.
No, it's because the Riddler is straight up the whole time just trying to get Batman.
Yeah.
While Two-Face is trying to get Dick. And, they cuddle and stuff. Like, Two-Face has two girlfriends and then just forgets about them and gets the Riddler, who's in a spandex, glittery, white and green leotard.
Yeah. It is quite notable, the fact that by the end of this movie, Bruce Wayne gets, like, two new partners in his life. Like, one's a young man who shares his... Yeah, like one who shares his nightly interests of, getting up in tight, rubber and stuff. And another been like a very, very sexually active heterosexual woman. And the next movie, only one of them's still there. The other one's just vanished without a trace.
I still think this movie's gayer than Batman and Robin, though, because Batman and Robin has that whole heterosexual plot of, the whole Poison Ivy stuff.
Yeah. I would call both of them pansexual polyamorous classics.
Oh, yes.
It should really have, the end of Batman and Robin should have been Dick and Bruce admitting their love for each other. And then that was being the thing that defeated Poison Ivy. Because he's like, I didn't see this coming.
And then Batgirl comes in and is like,
Actually, speaking of defeating villains, though, we haven't actually really talked about the minute.
Well, this minute is, like, we always kind of have problems, I find, John, because when action scenes are just like, yeah, what do you talk about? There's a lot of flipping around and stuff, and it's like, yeah.
Well, Robin does there's so many cartoon sound effects in this movie, but Robin doing like a flip while it's like...
I wanted to just go like, woo.
It's very good. He has a slide whistle in one hand.
It has got one of the lamest, like, you couldn't have done better than that kind of moves, where I kind of like the theory of it, because there's a bit where Dick is knocked down, and then someone's looming over him. He's got two other thugs are holding his arms, and then he gets the guy with his legs and flips him.
Oh yeah, two guys grabbing the Dick, and then he flips up. Here's the thing about that move, is those two guys grab Dick's arms. Great, okay, that's exactly what they should be doing in this fight. But then, like, he flips up using them as support to attack the third guy. Why don't they just let go? Because they're helping him.
Like, they lower him down very politely. Like it's the most choreographed thing in the world. Like it's just like, oop, careful now, mind your head.
They're like holding him up so he can do his little slammy slam.
I do hate that in movies and weirdly in wrestling when it's so obviously choreographed. You know, it's too much. It's overboard. You need a little bit of grit and realism in your fight. Come on. I don't want a gritty Christopher Nolan movie here, but I at least want to believe he's fighting and not dancing.
To be fair, though, one person who was even worse at choreographing fights for Batman was Chris Nolan.
Well, there's barely any fighting.
Well, it's really that bit in Dark Knight Rises, Batman's punching people who aren't even there. Like, it's just it's so badly done. But I do actually kind of like this move in theory, and I know it probably wasn't what Joel Schumacher had in mind, but the old getting the guys attacking you with your legs and then flipping them over, that's, of course, a classic Batman move from '89. Remember when he was fighting the Bell Tower Goon? Like the guy who was actually knocking the whole crap out of him, and then he threw Batman under a bell, and then he looks over, Batman's legs come up, get the guy by the side of his head, and throw him off the bell tower. So in some ways you could be like, is this a acknowledgement of what, Dick is to take up the mantle of being a crime fighter just like Batman? Yeah. Or it's probably completely coincidental that
Don't you dare diss Joel Schumacher by saying it was coincidental. He is a genius. It's deliberate.
I haven't seen Batman '89 in a long time, but I'm of course a huge fan of Batman and Robin, and also Batman Returns. So I think this movie does better with character development than at least Batman Returns.
Oh.
So I think that, I mean, the development of Batman himself is really well done in this, and I don't think it's that far off to say that, like, Robin is very much being set up as, I mean, next minute we'll get into it, but he's very much being set up as a, he's new Batman.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a weird thing, because I should note, at some point, I'm not too sure where it would have come in the film, because it's not in the scripts, but it was filmed. There is a deleted scene that I think was only there to sort of let you know that, Dick Grayson can fight. And it was a scene where Bruce comes in to talk to him, and he's basically saying a bunch of stuff that he says in other scenes in the movie, like, oh, me and you are the same, and I understand your pain, and all this sort of stuff. And Dick he's got a very gruesome picture of Two-Face, actually. Sellotaped.
Aren't all pictures of Two-Face pretty gruesome?
Well, this one, even more so. It's like, oh my god, he really looks hideous in this one. But he's got to, like, sellotape the, not a punching bag, but like one of those things from, like, IP Man. Those kind of, like, those things that stay in the ground. There's all little stuff kind of sticking out of them, and you're just supposed to beat various elements. But, so, Bruce does his usual thing of, like, oh, he mentions, actually, that Dick fixed the motorbike, the Black Knight. And he's like, oh, thanks for getting it running. We should go out for a ride sometime. But, again, there's no homosexual subtext in this movie whatsoever.
Never.
But Dick's just like, no, you don't know me. We're not going to be buddies and all sorts of stuff. And he's like, you can't teach me anything. And then as Dick's walking away, Bruce just, like, does this roundhouse kick to the picture of Two-Face and snaps the thing in two. And Dick sort of looks around, a little agog. And Bruce is like, well, don't be so sure. But the thing is, though...
And he says, hey, that was my only picture. You ruined the frame.
But the weird thing about that is that Bruce... The implication of that is like, oh, Bruce is going to train him to be a crime fighter. Yet in the same deleted scene, he's like, you're going to go to college and you're going to become like a well-adjusted young man. You're not going to be anything like me because I know what you could become, so I'm going to steer you away from it. Which is then immediately counteracted by him showing him this fancy kick and then like, hey, maybe I could teach you a thing or two, implying that, yeah, you, the audience, know that he's going to become Robin. And it's been like that with Alfred and stuff the whole time, where it seems to be hinting that Alfred is already setting this kid up to be Robin. Yeah, but he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be like, no, you have to become better than Batman. You have to get away from that.
He's given up. He knows it's too attractive being Batman. This kid's going to do it anyway. Screw it.
I just wonder, though, because I've been trying to work out what some of the graffiti is. Because, there was obviously a lot of work went into all this black-like graffiti.
Right, me too. I thought there was going to be references to stuff. I couldn't find any.
Even on, like, people's faces. Like, the one... thug after not the dangly dude, but before the dangly dude comes forward, which by the way, that's a look.
The guy he thinks he's the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, the guy who has things on like the side of his mouth that look almost like pincers or something.
Oh, they're cool.
I think this whole scene is like Dia de los Muertos threw up on a foam party.
Well, that's the thing though, like, because this kind of gang. It's been in Batman before where there's been weird, like in The Dark Knight Returns, there's like the mutants and stuff, with the big, like, insanely sharply nippled, butch, like, ultra, like, masculine mutant gang. And then, of course, in Batman Beyond, a couple years later, they had the Jokers, which was like a kind of crazy looking street gang that all dressed up in like multicolored stuff. And the whole thing was that they were in tribute to the Joker, who was at that point was supposed to be dead. And it feels like some points, though, it's because you see these guys, some of them are dressed in like tailcoats and have like suspenders and stuff, and they're kind of wearing like smart clothing, like they're dressing up like Alfred almost in a weird way. But yeah, then with like Day of the Dead stuff put on. But it's like it's slight tweaking. I know it's a couple of years in advance, but this could have been the Jokers. You could have had a big painting of Jack Nicholson in the background and been like, yeah, that's it. They're all inspired by him. But I think just Joel Schumacher didn't think of that at the time. Again, maybe they don't want to be beholden to Jack Nicholson because he's already making money off this movie because of that friggin' deal he made in the first one. So like, don't give him any more. Don't be paying him for friggin' image rights and stuff like that. But it does seem like a little, because even like that guy's skull face, like that turns into a Joker face so easily if you just paint the lips red. There you go.
It's
you're
like
done.
He's halfway between Joker and Bane.
Yeah. Ooh. Although we haven't actually talked about who this guy is. The main guy, the actor who plays him, is apparently quite famous. This is Don the Dragon Wilson, who is apparently throughout his lifetime held 10 world kickboxing titles in 3 different classes. He had 11 times kickboxing world champion. He had 47 knockouts over 4 decades. This guy, apparently, I think it says the Stars rating system cites him as perhaps the greatest kickboxer in American history. He has dispatched of more quality competition than anyone we've ever rated. And yet he gets his ass handed to him very quickly by Chris O'Donnell.
A trapeze artist.
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell's a 22 times kickboxing fan. Obviously.
But yeah, Don the Dragon Wilson, apparently like very, very famous amongst the world of kickboxing. Like there's a lot of details about it on his Wikipedia, which is obviously written by like enthusiastic fans because they're really bigging the guy up. Yeah, he studied Goju Ryu Karate with Sensei Chuck Merriman, which is I just thought to be a baffling sentence, seeing Sensei Chuck. That's like, no, there's obviously like white American guys who do karate, but I've never seen
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, of course, but it's like Sensei Chuck Merriman. Just thought that was a bit weird.
Is this the style of karate where you wield a giant glow stick to take your opponent?
That ancient tradition in Japanese culture. Yes.
They're like, now first we shall karate, then we shall rave.
I mean, that's a good combo. Karate moves transfer to the dance floor seamlessly.
But Don the Dragon Wilson has also appeared in many, many films. And he is, of course, the star of Blood Fist, the Blood Fist saga, Appears in all 8 Blood Fist movies.
8?
Is it supposed to be the blood of the opponent, or is it your blood because you did a bad punch and your knuckles are out?
Oh, and you broke your own fist.
It could flip from movie to movie. Because shockingly, going through his IMDb, he's playing a different character every time. Like it must be. It's like I guess it's like American Horror Story back in the day.
Anthology.
This extended dragon verse is so weird.
But yeah, so he was in all the Blood Fist movies, including the finale, Blood Fist 8: Trained to Kill.
Why does Blood Fist sound like a fictional movie that they'd go and see on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
It's up there with this like Bone Storm. And
It's like there was like Kick Puncher and Thunder Gun and all these kinds of, yeah.
He's also been in. Actually, speaking of Chuck Norris, he of course starred as himself in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Hey.
He's appeared in Say Anything, classic John Cusack movie, as his kickboxing sparring partner. So
he was the stereo.
He was. You might remember him getting held aloft outside.
A beautiful moment, so romantic.
He delivered a wonderful rendition of Peter Graybeel's "In Your Eyes." In your eyes.
And considering he's being held up at the time, props.
I have to say, an even better movie title he's in is, I just love this on principle, Sci-Fighter.
Whoa.
Sci-fi movie about fighting, I guess.
Is that a PS1 game?
That kind of sci. I thought it was like a psychic fighter.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
He's also in The Scorpion King 4, Quest for Power.
There's a fourth one?
Wait. They made more than one Scorpion King?
Apparently, they've made 5 Scorpion Kings.
Is Dwayne The Rock Johnson in all of them? Does each one have a new last name in it, and so he's the one for this one?
I think the one he's in stars some guy called, like Bill Big Country Robinson or something.
Oh, so he does have a middle name.
Yes, what's his name? The Dragon something? Yeah, there you go. So there's The Rock, there's Big Country, there's The Dragon. There's all sorts of middle names that are definitely the real middle names.
This needs to be a podcast series where you just review movies where the main guy has a little nickname in the middle.
I mean, that's what you guys are already doing with Bruce the Batman Wayne. So
Oh my god, that's wonderful.
Although apparently, the most recent Scorpion King movie came out in 2018, so only 2 years back.
What?
And it actually stars a guy called Zach McGowan. So I'm sure about this guy who's he's got the same
Zach
last
the
name.
what McGowan?
Well, I guess the maybe
The Irishman.
maybe the Mick.
The Mick.
He's the Mick. Zach the Mick McGowan.
Are you taking the Mick? Jeez.
Oh. No, I am impressed that you know that phrase.
I have watched the BBC before. Boom.
But yeah, another notable thing. Well, apparently he's also Don the Dragon Wilson was also in Enter the Fist of the Golden Fleecing.
What?
Wait, is this like Jason and the Argonauts meets like Bruce Lee?
I would
meets
watch
Kung
that
Pao?
film.
And then, appropriate enough, because we just talked about it there in the previous minute, he's in an episode of Moesha, which of course starred Brandy, whose song was featured in the last minute. So there you go. Everything is connected.
Okay, completely unrelated, and I'm sorry for once again derailing us. Is Kiss from a Rose ever in this movie?
Oh, technically, yes.
Yeah, the end of the end credits, it gets played.
No. That doesn't count. I mean, in the movie, like
Never.
Moesha Brandy songs are.
No.
Never, ever, ever. And neither is you too, is it?
No.
No.
Yeah, just like, we got the 2 big hit lead singles. Are you going to put them in the movie? No. There's just no room for them.
I
No
always
one's gonna remember this song in 20 years.
Oh yeah, where the hell are we? That's fighting.
There's a bunch of fighting and.
Well, I was impressed that Dick is a trapeze artist, but he apparently is a kung fu master. So I just am assuming he is a master of GYMKATA.
Oh.
That's with guns, though. He doesn't have any guns.
No, GYMKATA is all Basically, it's a martial arts movie all based around pommel horses, which are mysteriously around for no reason. He'll be fighting in the middle of a town square, and for some reason, an item that looks exactly like a pommel horse will be there for him to fight on.
It's like, what a handy coincidence.
I know, yeah, and there'll be bars. Oh, look, he can hang from the bars.
Like GYMKATA's the island of the crazies and stuff.
Yeah. That's a wonderful film. It's so bad it's good. It's one of those. If you don't like bad movies, though, don't watch it, people. But if you're like me and Niall, seek it out.
Hell yeah.
But then, of course, we do have a moment
Who's
where...
this girl? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so this...
Is this what you were getting on to? I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem, no. Yeah, of course, so Dick, he's managed to kind of get these guys on the ropes, and then he's, like, announcing to the girl he saved, like, oh, you get out of here, like, go. And then she goes in for, like, oh, doesn't Batman ever kiss the girl? It almost kind of looks like he just can't be bothered. Like, Dick just has a kind of like, oh, for God's sake.
But he wants Bruce.
It's not a good kiss. Like,
No.
when they come off of it, it's obvious that they were just, like, smushing faces.
Here's the thing, though. But particularly, it's even exacerbated by when Batman and Robin came out. This actress, Rebecca Budig, she looks not entirely dissimilar from Alicia Silverstone.
She looks the spitting image of her, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like when Alicia Silverstone showed up in the next movie, and I always had a slight confusion as to, like, is this supposed to be Batgirl? Like, would that be better if this character then they sowed the seed, and it was like this turns out to be Barbara Gordon, and then like there's an additional scene of her talking to Commissioner Gordon, would have given him an extra scene, something to do, where he's like, oh, Barbara, where have you been all night? And she's like, oh my God. And she tells Jim Gordon the story of being saved by Batman, but he's like, that doesn't sound like Batman to me. I know
she's
Batman.
not related to Jim Gordon. She would be telling Albert.
Well, that's the thing. Like
Alfred.
in this version, it would have to be like all the stuff that goes on in Batman and Robin, where she's like Alfred's niece or whatever, would have to be like, no, get rid of that. But if it just seems like, would this, like, having her here and having this experience with, Dick Grayson, would this inspire her to be like, maybe I should fend for myself and stuff? I could do what this guy did and be like, this was the origin of Batgirl? Would that improve things for people? Or
It would if there was any romantic link between Batgirl and Robin. Because, like, she's obviously, like, really into this dude for some reason. Chris O'Donnell is not bad looking, but you can't tell in this darkness and flipping around and stuff. You're not gonna, like, assess him and be like, yeah, this is a good looking Batman. I bet this is the same Batman.
The thing is, I've discovered this season that apparently the world was enamored by Chris O'Donnell in the 90s. Something that I missed. I didn't realize.
Well, yeah, he's got an earring.
Yeah. I kind of appreciate the cheesiness of it, where the score during the kiss gives this, like, little flute. Like, it makes it seem... I think it's like the score is trying to do the work, because they're like, there's no chemistry between these kids. Like, these two people don't seem like they're even... Like, she's kind of hot for him, I guess. But he just looks at really like, oh, for God's sake. And then gives her this peck. And then she runs off. To be fair, Chris O'Donnell kind of makes up where he's like, oh, I could definitely get into the... His read of that seems a bit more like, oh, maybe he did like this girl and stuff. But because of the actual kiss is so unromantic, they have to lean in with this, like, a little romantic flute thing to... People should know now, anyone listening, that unfortunately Robin's internet... Something or other is happening. There's some shenanigans going on behind the scenes, but they've been cut off, and they'll be back next episode. But they've advised us to continue just to finish off this episode with just me and John. So tragically, Robin not here for the remainder, but you still got us, people.
Yeah,
so.
And they've been a great guest so far. So. You know, Friday, it's going to be good too there.
Let's think this is our opportunity now, John, to talk about the guests while they're not here.
Oh, screw them. Yeah. No, with the minute, though, I actually really like the way the fight's filmed. Like, the camera has got in a little bit closer. It's a little shakier. It feels handheld and real. Not too shaky, not like modern shaky cam nonsense, but... It feels kind of, for a movie that's cartoony and over the top, there's a visceral edge to the fight.
There is, actually, yeah. It actually is quite well filmed. Again, we've dealt with like Tim Burton trying to direct action for 2 movies, so it's kind of like anything's better than that, because that guy, that is not his forte. I don't think he would be in any way like trying to defend himself from the fact that he's not a great action director, because it's not what he's interested in. But
yeah, that's one complaint you could throw at those 2 Batman movies he did, was like there's not really much action. Technically, they make it seem exciting and action packed with the music, the settings, blah blah blah, but there's not actually much fighting going on.
I guess they get around that these days, because that's one of the big thing in Birds of Prey is that they got in, what's his name, Chad Chazinski, I think you called the guy who made John Wick. Anyway, he was brought in. Apparently, they filmed it, and then Kathy Yan, the director, isn't an action director. Like it's their second feature film for one thing. And they were just like, the action scenes just aren't popping, so they had to get in the John Wick guy. And it is, you can really tell, like, when the action scenes kick in, they're like, holy crap, they really went to town with these. To the point where almost, like, they're very enjoyable to watch, but it's almost distracting, because it's like, Harley Quinn's not supposed to be like a karate master or anything. Like she.
Well, neither at this point, I would argue, should Dick.
Yeah, well.
I think Batman should teach him the fighting aspect, and he can incorporate the trapeze work into that.
Yeah.
And that's his unique flavor. But I get it. I mean, showing Batman training him, they probably think, it takes too much time. We just want to get to Robin.
I guess, too, like he's had 16, 17 years on the road. Just like, maybe Sensei Chuck Merriman came to the circus one night.
Maybe.
Like, I enjoyed that so much, I'm going to take this kid under my wing. And that's gonna be like when he reveals, like at the end, like, what? Who's your tailor? Like, I took the liberty, sir. And like, what are you gonna call yourself? Sensei Dick. Just like
Sensei Dick, yes. Bow to your sensei.
Just like, I think you're gonna have to work on that name, kid. We'll say though, actually, as Dick's doing the whole, like, I could definitely get used to the superhero gig, and talking about all the stuff of like, this gang so close to could have been the Jokers from Batman Beyond. Look behind him on the wall. There's a big friggin' red smile painted on a kind of, it's a blue face, I guess, technically, but I guess that could have been white paint with.
You could argue that's a reference then.
It could be. That almost looks like that's supposed to be like a giant, although I guess it melds up into like green eye paint or something.
Everything about this graffiti, right? Whenever you think you've spotted a reference, you haven't. I thought I saw the word Bob. Turned out it didn't say Bob. It was just wishful thinking.
What about Bob?
Rest in peace.
Joel Schumacher's a huge fan. It's like, I always like to get in references to What About Bob in all my movies. I've never worked with Bill Murray or Richard Dreyfuss, but I don't want to meet my heroes. I think I'll be too disappointed if I did work with them.
Well, sometimes that's good advice, I guess. I don't know. But something else I do like as well, we mentioned the kiss, is when she says, doesn't Batman ever kiss the girl?
Yeah.
And then Dick swoops in for the snog there. Like, kind of like, oh, okay, and then fine, here you go.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, Batman does kiss the girl quite a lot, in fact, in these movies. He kisses someone every damn film.
It's true. It's just like, doesn't Batman ever get to kiss the girl? Like, Dick will be like, well, from what I've heard, actually...
he gets around.
Yeah, Vicky Vale and Selena Kyle, and I think he's currently working on Chase Meridian, so...
Batman, this guy fucks.
Yeah, so then we got Dick going around. You see, I was a bit confused for a while, because I think it's just that his t-shirt is ripped, but I was thinking for a while he was wearing like a weird bandana around his neck. I was like, what the hell is that? Where does that come from? But I think it's like, his t-shirt has unfortunately sustained some damage. So.
Oh, alas. There's some good outfits going on, though. I think that adds to his look. He looks punky. He looks cool. He fits in with the gang now. Look, he can become...
Yeah. I really love this gang's like whole thing. Like, I would consider joining a street gang if they look like this.
Hell yeah. And as we discussed previously, right, I think there definitely is like a religious motif going, because one of these dudes, the one with all the tassels, he's got Mary on the back of his jacket.
Yeah, Bob
so
and Mary.
Is. Yeah. Of course. Not. I don't mean the mother of Christ, no.
Again, though, remember back when the diamond heist happened, John, you were saying like, there's a kind of slightly Rocky Horror show vibe going on with the old ladies in the background. These guys also have that kind of like, because they're in like the tail suit and kind of tux kind of outfits. Like they're very smartly dressed. But then
one of them has tails and a top hat.
Yeah. But then on their face, they're like full on crazy stuff going on. It's also a very Rocky Horror show.
And then one of them's wearing a wrestling singlet or something, which appears to say Bison on.
Oh, Bob, Bison, and Mary. It's all coming together.
That sounds like a cool character, a wrestling character. Bob Bison. Bob the Bison.
There's that one guy who kind of looks like a really wimpy, dweeby version of Ultimate Warrior. You know, where like kind of hanging off the...
That's him. Yeah, with the bison thing. He looks like one of the Usos or something, the wrestlers.
There also appears to be, behind the Don the Dragon Wilson... I guess you can't really tell because of all the makeup, but I think like his lead hench person is a woman as well. It appears to be a woman in a suit. She's got the hair really straight back and all, but she it's kind of distracting because she doesn't look physically intimidating. Like it just looks like a very small woman hanging out behind this 6-foot monster of a man.
Hey, don't count her out.
Yeah, oh, that's the thing. Though. She would be the one of like. Batman would be wary because he'd be like, oh, she's just standing in the corner. She hasn't done anything yet. Like, she's going to do something. And it's going to be good.
What could it be?
Yeah. But, so Dick is sort of under attack now. Like, he's got, like, the entire alleyway seems to be basically this gang.
Dun, dun, dun.
So then he goes up and tries to get out the old fire escape. But he's just basically climbing up towards more people in the gang. So I guess you got to do something. But
yeah, I think he is sort of running out of ideas, to be honest. He's done his best. He's fought them off. But there's a lot of people here. Even for a silly over-the-top action movie, he can't fight all of these guys. He's really running out of time with the reinforcements coming and everything.
Yeah, but at this point he may not have to, because in the very last second of the minute we see that there's also another uninvited guest to the alleyway. So, but I guess we can talk about that next time.
Oh, well, the only other thing I've got is that the Goldsman draft here has Dick saying loads of little quips during the fight, and I am glad they cut them because it's stupid. It's too silly. I can read a little bit of it. It goes, Dick, chains, you don't seem like the type. Because the guy attacks him. And then he grabs his chain and whatnot. He smacks the guy in the gut and goes, the Caped Crusader strikes again. Sans cape, of course. And then 2 more rush him and he beats them down. And he goes, another victory for the Dark Knight. He just keeps coming out with them. And then he beats 2 more guys up and goes, Dark Nighty Night. Ugh.
Surprisingly, Peter David kept all that in the novelization too.
Oh, it's awful! It's awful.
It is terrible. They should have got rid of it. Like, well, they were good. They were wise to get rid of that.
Yeah, you don't mind a little bit of a quip, like in a Joss Whedon-y kind of way, but this is like relentless. There's more. He beats 2 more guys up and goes, "Is your will up to date?" That's not even funny. And then the last thug looks at him and runs away. And he's like, I could definitely get behind this superhero gig. It's like, oh, God, shut up.
I think that's that kind of thing that really comes in hot and heavy in the next movie. Because I remember being like annoyed during the fight with Batgirl and Poison Ivy, where they stop every 2 seconds to have a little quip at each other. It's all like, women like you give girls a bad name and all this stuff. It's like, you're in the middle of a fight. What are you doing? Stop the chit chat.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No. But yeah, I would have actually, because it would have been really dreadful. I kind of wish they kept the Cape Crusader line, because I imagine them turning the camera and been like, Sand Cape, of course. And just
yeah, exactly. You'd have to look at you.
Doing little like finger guns. And just like, it was like, oh, Dick.
Oh, you.
You're incorrigible. I don't know the meaning of the word. Like the little thing, he really doesn't.
He really doesn't.
But yeah, I mean, I'm ready to wrap up this minute if you are, John.
I am indeed, yes. So, sadly, of course, Robin got cut off, but do check out their podcast, Toy Story Minute. I will get them to do proper plugs next time. I don't know all the social medias on that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I follow them, but you don't type it in once you follow someone. You just see it in your feed, don't you? But just type in Toy Story Minute. It'll come up. Great show, great movie, great hosts. Yeah. And come and talk to us on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, on Twitter at Bat Minute, and come and buy a T-shirt on TeePublic. It's all wonderful. Or buy a mug. or buy a cushion. What else do? They do stickers, they do badges, they do everything. Come buy something. It's all very helpful. It goes towards the show. We haven't actually spent any in a long time. It's just sitting in a pot. It's resting in my account.
That John was supposed to go to Lord's, John.
Rest assured, it is still resting in the account, though. It has not been funneled off elsewhere for nefarious means. Jeez, see you on Friday.
It's
Bye.
Batman. It's Batman.
That was the best ending ever.
Next time, let's make love and listen bats from above. Our pubescent pugilist is being pulled back into the ring, so it's time for the Batman to lend a helping wing. But while some bullies in blacklight get a fright from a descending dark night, which grieving ragamuffin is still raring for a fight? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.